Object Printmaking with Ms.Boley. Part 2. So just a reminder of why we're doing this. Last lesson we explored printmaking and we experimented with repetition as we were stamping multiple times with the same object. So this time we are looking at making art with a background and overlapping shapes. And obviously it's fun to create art. So we're moving on to step 4. We did steps 1 to 3 last time. We're going to cut out shapes from those beautiful sheets of colored printed paper that we made. So you're going to need those pages that you printed last time and the shapes template that I've provided, as well as scissors and a glue stick. If you don't have a glue stick, you can just use tape on the back, or you could use white glue if you really needed. And one thing that I forgot to take a picture of here is a marker. So a large marker that you can use to trace with. You can pause the video here if you need to go gather supplies. The first thing we're gonna do is take the template, the shapes template, and cut out the shapes. So you'll notice that on the template it says to cut 2 or cut 1. You just need to cut out the shapes for now, and I will explain in just a second what those instructions mean. And if you don't have access to a printer, you can just draw these shapes in sort of a similar size directly onto your printed paper and then cut them out. So what I'm doing now is I'm going through the different papers that I printed and I'm deciding which ones I want to use in my art piece because I might not use all of them. I made a lot. So I'm just comparing them and making some artistic decisions. So I really love this fork print, and so I'm going to use it for my large square. So I've got my large square on top of my printed piece of paper, and I am using a marker to trace around. I do not need to make this perfect. I'm just kind of trying my best to make the lines so that I can see them. And then I need a piece of paper to use for my smaller square. So I will pick this red one here because I love it as well. And I'm just tracing using my non-dominant hand, the one I'm not drawing with, to hold down the tracer. It's kind of tricky. Tracing things is a little bit tricky. So just remember, we're doing this to practice. Now I'm going to cut out both of those squares. Okay, so I cut one large square and one smaller square, and now I have my triangle. My triangle tells me to cut 2 triangles. So I'm going to choose and make some decisions, choose which of my printed papers I like the best to trace 2 triangles onto. And then I will cut them out. All right, so I've actually cut out 3 triangles because I want to have some different options. So here are my 3 triangles, and I'm going to choose the 2 that I like the best. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place them on top of my 2 squares that I cut. I'm just going to see which ones I like better. So I felt like the green and the yellow triangles looked better on the red background. And I just liked the dots and that, that cardboard stamp that I used. I just thought, I don't know, that these would be a better decision than the blue one. So now I'm going to cut the heart out. So I have already decided that I love this gear paper that I printed. So I'm going to trace a heart onto that with my marker. Remember, I'm holding my tracer in place with my non-dominant hand. And then I'm going to cut that out. All right, so the next step is to assemble all of my shapes together and glue them using my glue stick. All right, so here's my shapes that I have purposefully chosen because I liked the way that they look together. And I'm deciding some final choices about like the orientation and the placement of the shapes. And once I'm sure, then I'm gonna go with my glue stick or whatever other type of adhesive, if you're gonna use tape or if you're going to need to use white glue. So here is a special trick for gluing using a glue stick and making sure that the edges stick down very well. So you're going to want to make sure that you get the glue all the way up to the edge. I like to go just around the edge. And then I like to do like some sort of pattern in the inside, like I'm doing kind of like zigzags up and down so that I have some glue, but not everywhere. But I'm making sure it's all around the edges. And then I'm going to do my best to try to center it and place it on my larger square. I'm just kind of sticking it down lightly. And then this is the trick, to flip it over and rub the back. So if you flip it over and rub the back, you're able to make sure that the edges of your paper are all stuck down very nicely. Okay, so now I'm gonna glue down my 2 triangles and my 1 heart. And I'm just kind of doing my best to make sure that I'm paying attention to craftsmanship, making sure that the paper isn't curling up, and trying to make sure that it's placed just where I want it. All right, and here's the final product. I just love it so much. So it's meant to be kind of like a quilt square, and it has a heart on it because we're kind of doing activities related to kindness. So there we go. This would make a wonderful kind of Google Classroom banner or collaborative art piece where everyone puts theirs together. Watching.